Hey, what is happening? Chad here, and I'm happy to have you here. And just wanted to talk a little bit about, fatherhood, that kind of thing. I think I forgot to change the title here, but that's okay. I will change it afterwards. And so there's a lot going on today. There's a lot going on with the world and also with the Dad Creed movement, and I just want to kind of go over that and give you some ideas. But before we get going, let's see here. All right, here we go. And I want to share this with you that don't know if you can see it. Oh yeah, on the top here, on the top right of your screen, I'm pointing to it. I believe right there. You can actually scan that QR code and get yourself t-shirts, the Dad Creed t-shirts, which is really, really cool. And I think that you would really enjoy it. And I think you would like the shirts that are there because it would certainly help create it'll help you to, especially as a dad, to realize what you are here for, as a dad, as a husband, that kind of thing. It's a reminder that you are making a creed a guideline that you will follow to ensure that your children are raised uh, properly. And I wanted to distinguish between the different types of, like, the different dads in a worldview, because I believe that when you have, Christian dads versus non-Christian dads, I think there sometimes a difference there, right? We have dads that are not Christian, or maybe like they're atheists, or maybe they are pagan in many ways, and they allow certain things to come in to their family, to themselves, and essentially to the families. They allow that that spirit to infest within uh within their families, and then it becomes a big thing, and later in life when the children are growing, they become something that their parents wish they did not become. Sometimes it has to do with the transgenderism, sometimes to do with the committing crimes and that kind of thing. So you have to ask yourself, uh, what kind of dad do you want to be? What kind of father you want to be? What kind of husband you want to be? So whenever I speak of dads, husbands, I'm going from the Christian point of view, and not from the point of view of a pagan, or from a Muslim, or from a Hindu, or from someone who is a Satan worshiper or whatever. So I'm specifically going from the Judeo-Christian uh, aspect of, a family, and because I believe that when you are following the Bible, you're following what the dad's purposes are, what the father's purposes are within the Bible, the Christian Bible. That is when you will have the strongest defense against the evil things that are in this world. Because you have to remember that we are not fighting against the flesh and blood. In other words, we are not fighting against other human beings, because those other human beings are being infested with the spirit that is causing them to act in a certain way. And I just got done watching a a book or not, but I just got done watching a YouTube by Jonathan Kahn on the Olympics, and what he shared. You know, he's pinpointing the different gods, goddesses that the Olympics were worshiping. You know, at the altar, and how they went after the Lord's Supper, the painting of the Lord's Supper, and how they mocked it, and and they showed he shows, you know, how this the god of Daenerys, you know, or the goddess of Daenerys, the goddess of Venus, the goddess of Ishtar, you know, and how they're all, you know, this is like that worship, and how we are seeing more and more of this craziness where when it with the transgenderism, with the homosexuality, with the sexual revolution that began in the 60s. Now, if you go back into the 60s, you began to see the attack on the father, right? Even though it's been going, you know, much longer before that, but it was during those times, the sexual revolution, where the father was really being attacked at the most. You know, the rebellion against the father, you know, and the weakening of the father's role in his family. You know, it was really beginning to take a really strong hit. So what did you have? You had uh, these people going crazy and being absolutely uh, you know not really themselves. They're just kind of crazy, and then you had all sorts of things that start coming into play, like, you know, the abortion, the um, sexual diseases, the homosexuality became more prevalent. Then you start seeing more transgenderism, you know, bestiality, you know, these, and then of course, you know, the men wanting to have sex with children more and more, you know, the perversion that's really come about because the attack on the father and the the decrease of Christianity in society, you know, began to create really strong uh this really strong fight against the man's role in the family. And I think when you really like reading the Bible, you see these things happen. They're like cycles, right? You know, in the beginning, you know, God created earth. He blessed man. He says, "Go and multiply." You know, a man should leave his mother and father and be joined to his wife, and they should become one flesh. And then out of that one flesh, they are multiplying. Giving children. And when you read about that, when you understand that, and you see that, what happens? Evil began to creep in, and Satan was able to uh, convince the woman to eat of the apple, and the woman was able to convince the husband to eat the apple, and then from that point, sin entered the world. And so you had the fall of man, and you had evilness that came into play, and then you had the first murder where Abel was murdered by Cain. You know, and it got so bad to the point where Noah had to uh, build an ark. He had to build an ark. You know, you had the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, and then you had the building of the ark, and he floods the earth to get rid of the evil. He saved eight, right? So the story, and then same thing with the cat going into captivity in Egypt, right? The fall, the captivity in Egypt, and then the coming out, the renewance. But what did they do? They only Joshua and Caleb said, "We can go in there and we can beat them, the Nephilim, because they were Nephilim, the 9 foot, 10 foot tall human beings that were out there. You know, these superhumans that these demons were, you know, working with." And They said, God is with us. We will defeat them. Well, the others didn't. So what did God do? He said, well, you're going to be wondering again. And it wasn't until uh, that generation was dead that the children of that generation and Joshua, right? And they go in there and they began to go destroy all the towns and getting rid of the Nephilim. But they made a mistake too, right? But what did Joshua say? He took hold. He was saying, he took the spiritual headship. And he was like, you choose today what you want to do. If you could choose God and have a life of fruitfulness and a good life, or you could choose um, the other way and be cursed and have all the demonic things happen to you, all the bad things that happen to you, and you have destruction and failure. And so what happened was, they go into the land, and then they're blessed. But what happened after one generation? What happened? They began to fall, and by the third and fourth generation, they were uh, infested with all kinds of evil, right? Murder, baby murder, sexuality, all that kind of crazy stuff. So the Bible is a story of cycles: fall, redemption, coming back, fall, redemption, coming back, right? It's like a yo-yo, back and forth, back and forth. That story is always told through and through every single time. And so, if we pinpoint this with the '60s, the '40s and '50s, right? And the '60s was the rebellion, right? The '70s rebellion, '80s worse, '90s worse, 2000s worse, 2020s worse, even worse, right? And God says what? I will visit every third or fourth generation to see what's going on, and so we are in the third or fourth generation from I guess from the but 50s, 60s, whatever it is. And what are we seeing? Massive destruction. All because why? It's the same thing over and over again where the father is being attacked. The father, the headship, the spiritual headship, the father, he is being attacked and being taken out, being weakened to the point where he has no more influence over his family, over his children per se, but most importantly over society as a whole. So it allows for these demonic spirits to come back into the world, right? The goddess of Venus, the goddess of Ishtar, the Nereus, all these evil demonic spirits that are out there that are seeking to be worshipped, seeking to mock God at every possibility, to destroy anything that is God, anything that is good. They try to make it to be evil, right? And what is evil, they try to make it to be good. And they get into these bodies. These people that are willing to allow these demonic spirits to come into them, to possess them, and look at them. Look at them. They're crazy. They are corrupt. They are they're possessed, and the only way that you're gonna be able to get rid of anything like that is by turning back to Christ. Is by having the world turn back to Christ and take back the family. If you want to see the homosexuality go back into its shell, because it's a spirit, right? It's a spirit. Transgenderism, it's a spirit. The spirit is behind all of this, and it has possessed willing participants to do this dirty work and to go after anybody and to cancel anybody that comes forward and wants to fight against these things. The Bible is very clear on all of this, right? It's those things are abomination to God. And yet, what did they do at the Olympics? They abominated God. They abominated what was a depiction of the Lord's Supper. They abominated it, right? They brought out what was supposed to be a sacrifice on an altar, the blue man, a sacrifice like a calf, who's supposed like a meal, right? You know, that is basically what happened. And because that the father is not does not have the influence anymore over his children, whether it be because of divorce, whether it be because he is just being a deadbeat dad, and it doesn't want to take the responsibility, or the mom and the mother is keeping. He wants to be part of the family, but the mom is being so against him that she's refusing to allow him to be part of his children's lives. Whatever is going on, you there it has allowed the demonic spirits to come in and attack the children because that's what they really want. You if they capture the minds of the children and possess them and to transform them into what they want the children to be, right? Then it's a country that becomes dark. It's a country a world that becomes dark, a world that becomes desolate and without God. And you don't want that. So I call on all of you dads to take back your family, sit down and pray, right? You may not have an opportunity to be able to do that because maybe you have um, a ex-girlfriend, wife, whatever, who he just doesn't want you to have anything to do with their children. The only thing that you could do in that situation is pray. Is pray that there would be a change of heart, and ask God, to allow you to be that spiritual head, for your children. See, we need, but it's more opportune if you were married. But if you're single, it's all you can do, right? If you're divorced and you're away from your family, this is the only thing that you could do is just pray to God and ask God that you'll be able to have a positive influence on your children, to pray for your children and to send a hedge of protection over them. To be able to that you as a father that you need if you're a single dad and you don't have the ability to have your children all the time because of whatever reason, you know, pray for them and then, you know, send a blessing over them, a hand of blessing over them. But the thing is, but it's more opportune that you have marriage. Why? Because marriage, just as you are a man and you are the spiritual head of your family, marriage also acts as a hedge over your children. So that if you are one, you become one, right? If God, if the man and the woman become one flesh, they are one. They are together, and it creates an even stronger hedge against those things that are evil. But if you are a man or even a woman, but more so the man because you're the spiritual head, if you are caught up in if you are caught up in uh, pornography or you're cheating on your wife or whatever, you are essentially allowing these evil spirits to come into your family and attack them and get at them. Because why? Your children are going to end up becoming like you. They're going to follow your footsteps, even though they don't see you doing it, but they're going to follow your footsteps. Why? Because the spirits are attacking you in that way. They're putting it into the hearts and the minds of the children to believe that they need to do these particular things. So, so I ask that would really consider these things and realize that we are as men, we are seen as the spiritual head of our family. God sees us as that way. And as husbands, we are seen as the band that holds the family together, that marriage together. And we are the ones that God's gonna look to and ask, just as He asked Adam, "Why did you eat the fruit?" He didn't ask the woman first. He's gonna ask the man, "Why? What happened here?" That kind of thing. So you are responsible. Yeah, being a man is a big responsibility, isn't it? But being a man also means that you need to stand in the gap for your family. You need to stand in the gap for your nation. Because the only way that this nation is going to be saved is that if you take control over your family and lead them in the way of Christ. That's the only way. It's the only way that's going to happen. If you if you're a family and you are allowing your children to participate in corruption and evil things, what's going to happen? That spirit has already infested into your family, and then the generations to come is going to be more corrupt than the one that is now. So you have to take hold and you have to take control of your family, and it's best to do it now before it's too late. All right. I hope that you would that you would really consider getting these shirts. Just really show off your pride as being a dad, and taking the dad creed serious, that you're gonna create a dad creed, and that it's gonna be a guide for you for how you're gonna raise your children, how you're going to treat your wife, and how you're going to uh, empower them to be one. Just so you know, like if you go to this and you pick out a shirt, you scroll down a little bit, you can actually get a free book, the Dad Creed book, that can go along with this shirt, and it's for free. It's for free. It's only for a little bit of time until the end of August, but you can get that free book with a purchase of a T-shirt. All right, you have a good one. I look forward to seeing you again.